I mean, before I got to Prescott wasn't my first treatment center by far. It's number 17 on the fucking list. So there was a lot of places before it had to get really bad. I was 18 and I'm dumpster diving. I'm shooting dope on the streets. How does that happen? I come from a nice middle class family from North Scottsdale. How does that kind of change happen to somebody? It was horrible.
It wasn't so much the drugs. The first time I ever used heroin, it was under a bridge with some friends, and it was cool. Nobody else was doing it, and they were doing it, and I was kind of pressured into it. And once I mean, there's a reason heroin is so addictive. There's a reason there's a bunch of people struggling with this, because once I did it, it was incredible. It was my solution for a long time. It was like shaking God's hand the first time I ever did it. I'm not gonna lie, it was great.
You know, I truly believed when I was like shooting heroin into my veins, like, this is getting better. My life is getting better. Like, not once was it like, holy shit, I'm putting this deadly substance into my arm and, you know, I'm gonna lose everything and my family and I'm gonna fucking be a scumbag the rest of my life. It was just like, this is good. Like, finally, you know, I'm gonna feel okay.
You think you're sober, fool? Think you're sober, fool? Think you're sober, fool? Think you're sober, fool?
Think you're sober, fool?
Think you're sober, fool?
Think you're sober, fool?
Think you're sober, fool?
Think you're sober, fool?
You think you're sober, fool? You're sober, fool?
Think you're sober, fool?
Think you're sober, fool?
You think you're sober, fool?
Think you're sober, fool?
Think you're sober, fool?
Why Prescott, Arizona?
My drug and alcohol issue.
I just ended up drinking too much.
I'm an alcoholic and a heroin addict.
I was already deep into my heroin addiction at the time.
I got strung out on heroin.
Taking as much Oxycontin as I could.
The insanity of addiction is crazy.
Today I have 3 days sober.
Something had to change or I was gonna die.
I was in a vicious cycle. I had to change the way I was living.
My life had become pretty unmanageable.
Found out it was a big recovery town.
Like, Prescott was like the town of recovery. Prescott was the first time like I'd felt at home in a long time.
Why not check this Arizona thing out?
I wanted to get clean. I wanted to live.
I needed a change. I needed a different way of life.
Because I didn't know where to go.
It's amazing out here.
There was a lot of people here that were my age and staying sober.
You think you're sober, fool?
Welcome to Prescott. Located in the mountains of northern Arizona, Prescott is a small town with a population of approximately 40,000. Ask any tourist who comes through Prescott, and they will probably tell you they are here for the town's quaint antique shops and the old strip of taverns called Whiskey Row. But what most people do not know is that there is one of the largest recovery communities in the country based in Prescott. It is in this small, seemingly mundane town that people from all over the world in all walks of life come to find recovery. There are a large number of halfway houses and treatment facilities to accommodate the growing number of young people who come here to find a new way of life while trying to abstain from drugs and alcohol. Underneath a seemingly ordinary forefront, there is something extraordinary going on. There appears to be some kind of movement or spiritual uprising taking place. Hundreds of young people consumed by their drug and alcohol addiction are entering into a new life, a life of spiritual awakening, self-awareness, and altruism. Many of these young men and women not only have overcome their severe drug and alcohol problems, but are now engaging in what appears to be a full-blown spiritual revolution. You might not see it at surface glance, but upon closer examination, it is clear that something of a phenomenon is taking place in Prescott.
My name's Greg, 29, from Texas. Somewhere along the way, things have really changed throughout the making of this documentary. In the beginning, I just wanted to make a movie, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to build my resume, and in the process of doing all the interviews for the movie, something's changed where it's like, I don't know, I want people to know that it's possible, that people that are like, whatever, 18, 19, 20 years old are getting sober, that people are coming out here and getting help. I met a woman one time who was 15 when she got sober, and she had like 25 years of sobriety, like, these things are possible. Like, when I used to look at the things going on around me, I felt hopeless. I felt like there was no solution. And today that's just not the case. There is a solution, and it's here. It's in Prescott, and it's really big here in Prescott. And I think that the world should know about it.
My name is Andrew Wilkinson. I'm originally from Boise, Idaho. Been a couple places, and I'm 21.
We're not sitting here documenting something tragic that's happening. And you see that so much. You see documentaries on like polygamists in fucking Utah or like fucking Afghanistan and people are dying, or like intervention, these people are fucking shooting dope and not getting sober, and you know, despair and all that stuff. But I think this is a documentary where it's like, hey, there's this really amazing thing going on in Prescott, Arizona, and all these people are going from hopelessness to happiness and getting their life together. Check it out.
I'm Kelsey Hyde. I'm 22 and I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. I came to Prescott because I've been struggling with an alcohol issue for some time, and I had heard that Prescott was a good community of young people in sobriety, so I came up here originally to go through a program to get sober.
Alex Lenka, 23, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My life had become pretty unmanageable. I was homeless. Alcohol and drug addiction basically took my life away from me. I had no life. Treatment was the last house on the block. It had been suggested to me before. I wasn't ready yet. So finally I got to a place where I had nowhere else to go, and that was it.
My name's Aaron Braw. I'm 23 years old. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My drug use, I've been a drug addict for like 4 years at that point. Taken as much Oxycontin as I could. I was trying to get sober. I had been sober for like 3 weeks. I've been dry for like 3 weeks. And to get all the stuff out of my system, and then I relapsed, and I had no tolerance at the time, and so I did my normal amount of Oxycontin, which was enough to put me in the hospital and almost kill me.
My name's Jordan. I'm 19 years old. I was born in Chicago, lived a lot of my life in Phoenix, Arizona. My mom drove me out. I came here. The 2 to 3 days before were awesome because I told my mom I would go to treatment, and this is my ploy. My mom will take me to treatment, she'll buy me heroin for 3 days before I go to treatment, and then I'll leave after a week. Mom got me really super high for 2-3 days before I came up here. So I got here and my eyes weren't open, I didn't see. I pretty much woke up in Prescott. There wasn't much going through my head besides how high I got to be until I got here. That's what the 2 to 3 days were before.
I'm Nathan. I'm originally from Tucson. I just turned 19 in May. I went to rehab. Got out of rehab, went back out. My counselor told me to go to Prescott, and I came up here and I saw people killing it. I saw people doing the deal. I saw people happy, and by the time I was here, the first few weeks, by the time I was here, I was calling my dad, like, get me the fuck out of here. And I didn't have any other choice. Really, I came to Prescott because it was my last resort. I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't go to Tucson. I couldn't stay in Tucson. I didn't have anywhere else to live, and my insurance would pay for a couple months at a halfway house.
My name's Nate Hallowell. I'm 28 from Madison, Wisconsin. I'm an alcoholic. I drank a lot. I drank every day, 24 hours a day. If you want me to paint you a picture, I was doing just about everything except for prostituting myself to get alcohol. I was lying, cheating, stealing. I couldn't go a day without drinking, and towards the end, the way it looked was I was in the hospital over and over again for alcoholism, and something needed to change.
Rob Anderson. I am 22 years of age, and I am from Dalton, Georgia. Originally, I went to treatment because I thought I was depressed, I needed help. I had been seeking psychiatric help, taking the medications that were prescribed to me, doing the things that were suggested, but continuing to reach a lower bottom. It wasn't until I got to treatment that I found there was a lot more to what was going on with me than feelings. It was a lot deeper than that.
My name's Carter Edwards. I'm 25 years old. I'm from Scottsdale, Arizona. That day, I was 23 or 24 years old. I was homeless, living out of my car off of 27th Avenue in Van Buren in Phoenix, and it was fucked up. To the best of my knowledge, I was driving down the street, knowingly driving on a suspended driver's license. Just gotten dope from my dope dealer, some crack rocks from my dope dealer, and I guess this great technology, the police have LoJack, reads license plates really fast, and mine popped up, driving on a suspended license. Cop flipped around, U-turn, pulled me over, driving on a suspended license, searched my car, got charged with possession of narcotics, possession of crack cocaine, and 2 possessions of paraphernalia, 4 felonies.
Sean from Las Vegas, Nevada, 22 years old. Crazy story, the last time I ever relapsed was when the Celtics lost the championship to the Lakers in game 7. They were up by like 30 points, and then they lost. I remember I walked outside and like one like single tear ran down the side of my face, and I was just like, fuck it. Went on a run for about a month. Then parents changed all the locks on the doors and everything again, and tried to break back in. Brother, he's trying to rip me out of a window. I mean, it was a very, very violent and brutal scene. It was definitely like one of the terms we use in this program as a bottom. It was definitely one of the worst bottoms I ever had. My brother's got me pinned down at the top of the stairs, and I'm just bleeding all over the place. My mom's calling the cops. I take off running. He lets me go because he doesn't want me to get arrested. And then I'm wandering around town for about half an hour in one of the suburbs of Las Vegas. It's called Henderson. I find my way over to this Walmart food store, and I'm sitting there in front of it, and in my mind I can see, a big book, because I had already been through the steps, a couple times, never got it though. A gun, and, the streets, going back out, because I knew, if I chose to kill myself or go back out, I was going to get consumed one way or the other. So I had 2 minutes left on my prepaid phone. I called my parents and asked them for help, and they told me they're sending me back up to Prescott.
Colby, 21 years old, from Mesa, Arizona. And I just remember telling me, you're a heroin addict. You have a problem. And at the time, I was in delusion about it. I think deep down I knew that something was wrong, but I didn't want to be labeled as this heroin addict. But it was very evident. I was sticking needles in my arm. I was pawning everything I own. I was stealing things from people I love. So basically, it took about 4 or 5 hours of my mom talking to me and realizing that, okay, I'll go to detox, So I went to detox for the first time. I got out, and I think part of me wanted to stay sober. I didn't have any tools though, I got out and I went to go stay with my grandparents because that was kind of a comfortable house for me, and I can kind of just chill out. And but at that point I didn't really have a choice, it was like 2 days in, I was back into my grandma's purse, looking for meds. 5 days in, I ran out of the medication that I stole, and the only thing I could find was a bottle of air duster. So I grabbed this bottle of air duster and I just started going to town, and I passed out, and I woke up with my grandma screaming and crying over me. You know, and I kind of just I woke up and I kind of just gave her that look like, the fuck are you looking at, you know? And just heartless, you know, like this is what I do. That night, I traded my computer for $20 worth of dope, and I was back on, you know. The next day, I went to my mom's, and she knew something bad was going on, and I was back into detox. A week later, I was in Prescott, Arizona.
My name's Alan. I'm 23 years old, and I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana. Because it gives me relief. Pretty much, you know, since I was born, you know, like there was some sort of like intangible problem with like me, and I tried, you know, like to fit in, get the social validation from the peers, you know, please my parents, or like go to church, or do well in school, like all these different things to try and like fill that hole, or like to feel better, to get relief from like whatever the hell's going on inside of me that makes me uncomfortable. And eventually I found drugs, which gave me instantaneous and like initially guaranteed relief from that. And you know, when I first started getting high, I'd get high and it was like all of a sudden I could breathe. Weight was lifted off my chest, and all these things that were like insurmountable problems, like just talking to people and being confident in myself, or being confident talking to women, or like being worried about succeeding at this, that, or the other, just ceased to be a problem. And I was like, okay, right there and then, this moment right now, I'm all right. And nothing had ever given me that before. Never, not so fully and not so quickly as drugs. And so as soon as I felt that, it was like, I have to hold on to this, you know, like I need this all the time. This is what I've been looking for. This is what my life has been leading up to. I finally found it. I found the answer. I solved the equation, and everything's going to be okay if I can just keep this up.
It's like, most people don't even know this exists, you know? It's like one of the greatest secrets, like, of Arizona. Nobody knows that, like, there's this little town that's up in the mountains that, like, just happens to harbor, like, you know, all of America and I guess England's worst junkies, you know, and puts them in one place.
You think you're sober, fool?
And so what happened is it turned into this film about why Prescott? Why did you come to Prescott? It's the personal experience of any given person that's in recovery here. And it turned into something great. You know, it's like, how did all of these people get here? I mean, we would never know each other in the outside world had we not come to Prescott and built these lives together. And so I think it's changed direction a lot. You know, it started out as more of an informative documentary on Prescott, but now it's turned into personal experience and interaction and connection with other people in this community.
My name's Anna. I'm 25 years old. I'm from Austin, Texas. I think there's something to be said for like staying in one place where you got to know the people that you got to know when you were in early recovery, like getting sober in the first couple of months. That it seems to work really well when you form those bonds and then you stay with those people. It kind of becomes like this second family. I think, like, I see people that have these like extended families they've created out here, and for some reason that just seems to work really well. And I think that some people stay for that. They've developed these relationships that they don't want to leave.
I honestly didn't intend on staying here for very long. I think that I said that I would be here no more than 30 days, and I just fell in love with the community. The young people in this town in recovery is amazing. It's a small town. I'm from Phoenix, like I said, and I find so much to do here. I'm always going on trips, doing events, going bowling, going to the movies, doing barbecues. I really think that I have more fun in sobriety than I ever had before I got sober, and I have more friends than I can name, and my life just got so good here, and so I continue to stay.
there's something different here than I found anywhere else. You know, and I mean, and the payoffs have been endless since then. So I mean, what keeps me here right now is like I came here for recovery. I came here to not die. I found recovery, and now I have a life, and the life just keeps getting bigger. I have a family of my own, a blood family of my own. I'm getting married. I'm having a kid. I have great friends that I've known for years. I get to help other young men stay sober. It's just a huge community. Everywhere you go, I can go to Albertsons, I can go to Starbucks, I see somebody, you know. I mean, the payoffs are endless.
I continue to stay in Prescott because it's the town itself is incredible. The recovery of the amount of young people that are in Prescott is like unbelievable. To go to a meeting like last night and have like 150 people my age that normally would be somewhere with a needle in their arm, to just be in a city where something like that's possible is just insane.
You know, my motives for staying sober when I first got into town were my family's fucking done with me, I have nowhere else to go, I'm scared, and I have nothing else, you know, and so I might as well give this a shot, you know. And, you know, sometime it shifted to where it was, I like the things that I'm seeing now. I like the self-purpose I'm getting now, you know. My family I'm getting back, you know. I have drive today, and those are the things that I stay sober for today and to help other people, you know.
I don't know, I found like a community or like, you know, a group of like-minded people that really, I enjoy their company, and it's unlike anything I've ever really found in my life, like socially. And I don't know, I found it, I basically just feel like for the first time in my life I found like a solid grounding that I'm like comfortable with myself and my surroundings and like the way that my life is going right now. So right now I'm happy.
My name is Joe, I'm 20, and I'm from Pennsylvania. If you took a poll out of all the people that have been sober in Prescott and asked them which ones have been to more than 2 treatment centers in their entire life,
90%.
It's a high number.
Yeah, it's a very high
We get a lot of chronic relapsers like myself. I've been to multiple treatment centers, and for some reason, like Squirrel said, it's like it seems hopeless. I'm in the middle of nowhere in the mountains. I don't know where the hell I am, and I want to get sober. And it's like, I think that's where it comes. You feel the hopelessness, and then match that with the fellowship that you see going on around here, and your success for sobriety increases.
Because around town there's like those little flags that say everybody's hometown. And like I got here and I hated this town. Like I walked in, I was like, this is not my hometown. And I think like around like after being a few months here, like I looked around and I realized like I hadn't felt at home in a long time, but like Prescott was the first time like I'd felt at home in a long time. This is my home.
I got roots here. I got a job here. I mean, again, there's solution here. And I've been back to Tucson. I've been trying to do this for 2.5 years, and I've been there and I've done that, and I can't. Every time I go back to Tucson, I get fucked up. I go back out. I start stealing cars. I start doing shady shit. And I don't know, I stick around because this is, I mean, back in the day for years and years, it was stealing cars and hanging out with drug dealers and doing all that stuff was where I was comfortable. And I mean, now I'm comfortable working at a halfway house and making shit money and living in Prescott and having a bunch of friends and stuff. It's just where I'm comfortable now.
My name's Josh, and I'm 20 years old, and I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. Another thing is, like, you know, before I came out here, before I even, you know, really got sober this time, it was like, someone would ask me what I like to do, and it was like, I don't know, drugs? Yeah. Like, you know, they'd be like, you want to go bowling? I was like, yeah, drunk. You know? But it was like, now it's like, we go out and we do things, and even if we're not really doing anything. We're like genuinely having fun, and I've never like, you know, known what I like to do or been able to have fun in any kind of social situation without being super fucked up. You know, so I think there's something to be said in that, just how people can get together and just have fun being themselves sober.
Why I stayed in Prescott is because I just thought, like, I'm out of options, I have nowhere else to go, why don't I just try this out? You know, here are these people all around me, 15, 20 guys just like me who have been through what I did, and they want to help me. And they're saying that I can do it, and they're saying that I'll be happy, and like, as much as I didn't believe them, I said, okay, I'll try it as an experiment, and I did. I got a sponsor, I started working the 12 steps, I got to know people, and I started realizing that, like, I'm no different from any of these guys, and, you know, recovery is possible, and I don't exactly know when it happened, but like something shifted for me, you know, and I thought that sobriety might be possible for me, and I started getting the feelings that everyone talked about, you know, and I stayed sober, you know, I proved myself wrong that I could do that, and it was just this new life that I was introduced to, and I guess like I stayed out of curiosity, I stayed like out of interest for the future of what could come, like if I do stay sober, if I do these steps, you know, maybe I can have a life that was really presented to me.
I stayed because I found something out the first month here that, you know, I was been searching for since I was a little kid, you know, and I've stuck around to figure that out, and I don't really know what I'm looking for, but it feels like I'm getting closer to something, and the closer I get, the happier I get. I'm holding down a great job where I get to give back to people. I'm finding out new things I love, and for once I'm excited about the future, and not for 1 second did I expect to find it here, Prescott. I remember I got here and I was like, shit, you know, I came from Tucson, it was beautiful, you know, it was hot, and 3 hours from Tucson, here's Prescott, and we're rolling up and there's snow everywhere, and you know, I wasn't excited at all, but there's something here, there is, and you know, it's not just with me, there's so many people that have come out here from bigger, better places and have stayed here, you know, despite its size, despite what it looks like on the outside.
My name's Jeremy Yeager, I'm 34 years old, I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Some spark happened one day, and there, you know, some good recovery, and you know, it just kind of like spread organically, and now it's like out of control. You know, there's just a lot of good stuff happening here.
It's the energy. If you go to other towns, other cities, I go back to Madison every once in a while, there's not as many young people in sobriety back there. I take for granted sometimes how many young people there are getting sober here. And, you know, I think that there's a lot more guys to work with, and there's a fellowship here that you won't find anywhere else. I believe in the world, in the nation, anywhere else on this planet. You will not find a greater, per capita, a greater amount of young people getting sober in the world.
Yeah, I remember calling my mom maybe a month living out here. Mom, I came out here and now apparently they won't let me leave. It's like, you know, I've heard other people say too, it's like I came out here and now I can't leave. And it's like, I woke up one day, it was like, I don't want to leave.
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, o'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Making spirits bright, what fun it is to laugh and sing a sleighing song tonight.
What Operation Going Deep is it's a bunch of people in our community that have agreed to be on film and sing a couple Christmas carols, and it's almost like a video postcard to all these family members that they're not able to see this year. You know, that they want to. Like all these people finally want to be there for Christmas. They want to show up. They want to pay attention. They want to be the son, the daughter, the brother, the sister that they never were in the past, and so they're able to do it now. And so we get everyone together. We're on the courthouse steps, and they sing. We sung 3 Christmas carols. It goes on the internet, and we're able to, you know, send that to our parents like as a gift, as a present to them.
The whole idea came about from a man in the community. I had gone to him one day, and I just like kind of exploded on this guy in the community. I was having some issues, and I didn't really know what to do about it. And so I went to him, or this other guy had suggested that I go to him, and so I did. I called him up, and he told me to send out postcards to everybody in my life. And the principle behind that was like, how are you showing the people in your life that you're still growing, that you're still changing, and basically that you're not still using drugs anymore. So I did it, and it worked. I got to reach out to these people, and it was weird because about 2 weeks before this guy had suggested that I do this, I had received a postcard in the mail from a friend of mine. Her name's Virginia Ann, and I can remember that feeling. When I pulled it out of the mailbox, I looked at it, and it was a mosaic of Elvis. I'll never forget this. I looked down, and I didn't really know what it was. And so I flipped it over, and I saw her handwriting, and immediately I knew that it was from her, because we've been friends for a long time. And something inside of me it jumped, it leapt. It was the greatest feeling for about 3 seconds. It was like, oh my gosh, this person's thinking about me. She took the time to mail this postcard to me, and it felt really good, and so I get to give that feeling out to everybody in my life. And so from there, what happened was I didn't have any money to buy gifts for my family for Christmas, which felt pretty bad, so I wanted to give them something. And so what I was thinking was I was thinking about shooting some kind of video, and so I had thought about it for a couple of weeks, and finally one day I got the courage to ask this guy about it, whether or not it sounded crazy. And so I looked at him and I said, so I'm thinking about shooting this Christmas caroling video for my family. What do you think? And he said, well, Greg, it sounds like pretty crazy, but if you do it, let me know because I want in. And from there I did the same thing with other guys. I asked them, and they said the same thing. And so I just picked a date. I think it was like November 15th of 2011. And a lot of people ended up showing up. We had about 30 or 40 people involved. And that was last year. This year we had probably about 60 people show up. And it was really cool. And it's the same idea, to put this caroling video together, put it up online so everybody involved can give it to their family, because a lot of people come in without enough money to send gifts home. It lets people's family know that they're surrounded by people that care, and that they're doing something different with their lives. I wasn't out there using drugs, like singing Christmas carols and putting it up online, and I just wasn't doing that. I was extremely selfish, and now, the goal of my life is to do the opposite, is to help other people and to show them that I'm living a different life.
It was just another thing, man. It was just another thing that was, it's like, holy shit, this is my life. I get off work at the hotel, and I go straight down to the square, and there's 50, 60 sober young kids, and we're rather than shooting dope with a needle in our arm, we're singing Christmas carols so that our family can see what we're up to now. Yeah, it's just crazy, man. It's crazy to see that much sobriety of people that are in their 20s and early 30s and stuff like that, and what I would be doing 2 years ago as opposed to what I'm doing today is a 180-degree difference, and it's just makes you really grateful to see stuff like that.
One of the things that I've discovered with this documentary that's so cool is there's really nothing special about the town of Prescott itself. It's what is special about Prescott is what's going on here. We have a recovery community that is thriving. It's so big, and it's growing by leaps and bounds. By the week, by the day, new houses are being opened, new facilities are opening, and you know what's going on is that there's a large turnover rate, but what is happening is people are staying sober, and so you know these people that have stayed sober continue to stay here because they found this way of life, and they have found other people who live this lifestyle, you know, and so they're drawn to it. And then I think what happens is the people that are younger in recovery, that haven't been here for very long, they see what's going on in the community here. And so what they see is what they have always wanted out of their life. You know, for me, I always wanted to be accepted. I always wanted to be a part of. But for whatever reason, you know, in the outside world, I could never do that alone. I could never do that by myself. I could never achieve, you know, what I wanted. And then I come to Prescott and I see all these other people who have got what I want. And so in turn, I do the things that they did to get that.
What's so incredible is when you see guys sitting around discussing that stuff, they're very rarely talking about alcohol and drugs. It's become more of like a spiritual movement and like a movement, like a mass enlightenment that's happening in Prescott. If I had to put it any one way, I would say it's like a spiritual movement and a mass enlightenment. It's like all these people that are just seeking truth and like all these existentialists, you know, and like, I don't know, it's crazy. It's like this weird thing, and no one's highest thought anymore is like what I'm gonna eat tonight or what kind of car I want. The highest thought is like, who am I? Why am I here? Is there a God? If there is a God, what does he want from me? And so to see people of our age thinking outside of something like that is just incredible.
I'd say half my stay in Prescott is a spiritual high. You know, the feeling that I got from going down to Phoenix, and when I was still in my house, from going down to Phoenix and going up to my job and saying to my old job that I, you know, totally screwed over, and saying, listen, this is where I fell short, this is what I did, this is what I'm willing to do. And you know, my old boss telling me you're a changed man, and walking away and saying, and just feeling like I want to scream, you know, with happiness. Sitting down with someone who's new, who's just as scared as I was when I came in, and being able to help him, and seeing the light bulb go on in his head is a spiritual high for me today. You know, there's nothing like helping someone else today.
Oh my gosh, I don't know, because there's nothing in this town, there's not much to do, but yet for some reason every weekend I have full plans of something to do. I think that it's like, I don't know who started the recovery here, but I know that some of it is different than what you find in other places, other cities, other states. The recovery here is just amazing, and people really want to get sober, and because of the amount of young people who have lives and have jobs and are having fun, I think that the new people that come to this town, they see that and they're like, holy crap, like, I've never seen this before, I really want this for myself, and so they go to them and kind of do whatever they're doing, and then it just turns into this huge thing. I moved here 3 years ago, and then it was amazing, but even since then there are way more people, way more stuff to do, way more women and men sober than were then. It's just incredible. It's so incredible what is happening here, and I do think it has a lot to do with the new people seeing the older people or whoever and being like, I really want what they have and I'm going to do what they do. And that just turned into Prescott being this spiritual town.
I don't think there's anything special about Prescott. I think there's something special about what's going on here. I think it's a spiritual revolution like we've never seen before. I think it's fucking incredible that you can see 200 people at Peter and they're all meth fiends and they're all heroin addicts and they're all drunks and none of them are doing that stuff. And I kind of get it today why normal people don't understand me. And I understand that. I get that today. Like when I go home to my dad and, you know, they're like, how'd you do it? You were a heroin addict. You know, come to P group. Come to P group on Tuesday night. I don't fucking know. You know what I'm talking about? You go to P group and there's 200 people there that are like screaming and shit, and just a normal person walks in there like, what the fuck? Are you sure you were all junkies? I don't buy it. You know, I've heard people say, come into these rooms and it's like, you must be drinking on the weekends or something because you're not this happy. There's no way. You weren't as bad off as me. And that's what I said when I got in here. And then, you know, I get through it and I'm just as happy as these other people. And it's like, and then I look at a newcomer that's coming in and he's like, you know, I don't buy it. And it's like, bro, stick around for a second because this shit's fucking tight.
I think there's something that gives you hope about that too,
Yeah.
because when I came here, I was a gutter junkie, like you said, and it's like I didn't think that my life was ever going to be any different. It's like, it's impossible. This is the way my life will be until I'm either really old or I die or both. And then you meet people and it's like, okay, so maybe it is possible that that's not the way my life is going to be forever. And it's like, I didn't believe it to be true for myself, but I could see that it was true for other people. And it's like, okay, well maybe if I hang out with them long enough, it might happen.
It'll rub off.
And I think it gives other people hope when they come here and they're like, oh my gosh, like here's a bunch of people that used to be exactly the way I was and now they're completely different. And can I get in on that? Like I want some of that. How do I become part of it?
Well, I just think it's like the best kept secret. I didn't know this was here. I didn't know there was more treatment centers and, you know, recovery homes per capita than anywhere else in the world here. And I think what's special about it is the amount of people trying to do the right thing out here. That was so foreign to me coming out here. A bunch of, you know, women and men in their mid-20s who should be out in colleges fucking partying and, you know, doing that lifestyle that's portrayed throughout the culture and society and all that, but they're sitting here, they're sober, they're helping other people get sober, and we're all doing it together.
There's nothing extravagant about Prescott, but it's the shit that's unseen that makes it so beautiful. Is that the common bond that we all share from young to old is that there's a piece of literature that I love, and it talks about how, you know, a shipwreck happens, and from the third class all the way to the captain's table, it's like all these walks of life that come to Prescott, and we've all survived death together. You know, we've all survived a shipwreck, and it's like, it's crazy. It's like any place you go to, any coffee shop pretty much you go to, any halfway house, any treatment center, it's like guys are working with guys, girls are working with girls, souls are being saved, people are getting lives, people are going hard for their recovery, you know, they're surviving.
My name is Chelsea and I'm 24 from Alberta, Canada. Prescott it feels like one spiritual bubble, if that makes sense to a lot of people. I don't know. It definitely feels like a very safe town because I got sober here. I've never used here. It feels really pure and genuine for the most part. I know it's very possible to get high here and to drink here, but I have a really good support team here. I think that's what makes Prescott so special, is that there's so many young people or people in the program in general helping each other, really trying to stay sober.
Well, I think the very fact that there's all these people and there's all this recovery going on, for whatever reason, a lot of people go or get sent to or end up in Prescott, Arizona to get sober. And there's a small percentage of those people that actually stay sober. And that group of people, like I was saying before, is bound together by that common purpose to stay sober and to make their lives better. And it's a very wide and broad purpose, and but it's something that we can all agree on, you know, and that regardless of whatever else that we disagree about or dislike each other for, we all come together for that, and we all need each other in order to accomplish that goal, because that's how 12-step stuff works, is alcoholics, drug addicts helping each other. And so there's a higher amount of those people that end up here for whatever reason that I haven't really seen anywhere else, and that just makes for a really cool, open-minded, loving, eccentric, hilarious, exciting, interesting group of people, you know, and that's why it's special to me.
Jeff Grabish. I'm from a little north of Philadelphia. It might just be the fact that a seed was planted as far as a recovery town, and it just started growing, and it's a healthy growth, and so the more it grows, the more it attracts and just kind of feeds off itself. And for people to stay sober, they got to share it with other people. And so to help newcomers is a way of giving back. And whenever I talk to a newcomer, it helps me remember where I came from, the insanity that I'm escaping by staying sober. So, but that's part of the reason that keeps me in Prescott too, and I think it's just, it feeds off itself.
Jacob Gunnarsson, and I'm from Racine, Wisconsin. I think this has really just become a really popular area. There's a lot of people up here who've come up here because of a sibling or a friend or a relative, and it's just sort of taken off. And because the demand for a place, a safe place to go is increased, so has, you know, people keep adding beds to their facilities, whether it's getting extra houses or apartments to house people because there's a need. And it's just, I think it's a really safe and unique community in that way.
I'm Cammie, I'm 21 years old, and I'm originally from Seattle, Washington. What's so special about Prescott is the recovery community. I think it's been a lot of people's experience that when they come here, they find kind of a family of people who are, you know, trying to recover from other sort of addiction problems, whether it be, you know, substance abuse or, you know, anything else. I think that, I don't know, because here you find people who are like you, who when you talk about, you know, hitting a bottom with drugs and alcohol, or, you know, being so miserable, they know what you're talking about. And then we're able to share our experience, strength, and hope with each other, and it just feels like a family.
I've asked myself this question so many times, like, why Prescott? I don't know. The best way I can describe it, I guess, is it's a small town with a lot of people, a lot of like-minded people packed into a small area. And no matter what you do, you're gonna see them. And there's a lot of young people, and it's like, I didn't see young people getting sober where I was at. You come here, you see young people getting sober, and you're like, okay, I actually probably can do this. I think this is possible.
You blew it.
You blew it. You blew it.
You blew it.
Yes, it is totally blown. Yes. Why is it possible for people to change? You know, there's a lot of addiction going on in this country, a lot of alcoholism, a lot of addiction, and it's like, I think people on the outside think that we can't change, that we won't ever change. And the thing about Prescott is that, I mean, this is proof. You know, this is direct evidence that addiction can be overcome, that people are getting help, that people are coming out here and changing their lives. And I think it's important for the world to see that, you know, because the hopeless nature of addiction is, it's too much sometimes. I know it was for me. I know it was for my family. And so in Prescott, what people get to see is that there are all these young people, there are all these old people, there are all these people in general that are coming out here, that are getting help, and that are overcoming their addiction. It's a really cool thing to see. You know, and the thing about it is it's inspiring. Other people see this and they catch the bug, they catch that feeling where it feels good to do the right thing.
I think that it's possible if you want it to be possible. If you want to change and you want to be sober, I think that it's completely possible. It's kind of just up to you. How much are you willing to put in to the change? If you're not willing to put in that much and you're not really willing to go to any length to get the change you want, then you're not going to get the results that some people who are willing to will get. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of up to you, and I think that it's possible because I see it happen daily here.
I mean, I think if it was possible for me, it's possible for anybody. I have to think that, and that's what I tell the girls that I meet that are, you know, hopeless and like, I mean, I went to like 15 different rehabs, and I'm working with a girl right now that's already been at every major treatment center in Prescott, and she's like, this is it, and she's leaving the one she's at and going to a different one today, and it's like, she doesn't think that there's any hope, but she keeps asking me, she's like, well, so what happened when you did this, and what happened when you did that, and it's like, I can tell her, and I can say, listen, the best thing you can do is to stay exactly where you are, and, you know, I think that there's no way it's not possible. I know that I was absolutely 100% hopeless, and I think that if they feel hopeless the way I felt hopeless, that they're the same as me and that it's definitely possible for them. And it's just being able to express that and like tell them, like, I was just like you and I promise it's going to work.
Because I've seen it. I've seen it with all different kinds of people. All walks of life. I've seen people come around with stories similar, worse, not as bad as mine. And I think that's what life's about. I think nothing ever stays the same. No one ever stays the same. If they do, I think they're full of shit. I have been changing since I got here, you know, and I've watched people change. I've watched people grow up.
Because of support in Prescott, the young people support, you know. When I first, when I first walked in, I was terrified, you know, and I didn't know how to talk to anyone. I didn't know how to talk to anyone. And the fact that someone came up to me and said, and, you know, stuck their hand out, a young person, you know, that was maybe even younger than me, a couple of years older than me, stuck their hand out and said, hey, how are you? Where are you from? Can I take you out to coffee sometime? You know, instantly I felt, wow, I felt a part of, you know, and I think that's huge.
But I know for myself, it was basically just desperation. I didn't really want to die, and this was the only other option. You know, rehab, but more so what was pushed on me and suggested to me was the 12-step program, you know, and in doing that, I had to change, you know, like the change was just a byproduct of doing this stuff that was absolutely necessary, and like the only thing left. I don't know, it's just like people that, you know, there's a lot of uncomfortable stuff and a lot of work involved, and I'm lazy and I don't like that stuff and I don't like being uncomfortable, but again, it was like, what the hell else am I going to do, you know, like my life's over, you know. I've got nothing. I really couldn't think of anything better that I could be doing besides dying, you know. And I didn't want to die, so.
When like the question is raised, like why get sober, I just think because it's one long fucking chain, you know. I'd love to say that I'm sitting here sober for myself today, and that's a big part of it, but something that completely changed this whole sobriety thing for me was when a guy came in my exact shoes, hopeless, off the streets of Phoenix, and I was able there to sit with him and help him through this and take him through the 12 steps and do for him what was done for me. So I know that's what keeps me coming back, amongst the camaraderie and like the fun stuff and, you know, everything I was talking about before, but like the helping others part, I got really, really passionate about. And I feel like it gave me a little bit more purpose. And you know, I have friends who drink. I have friends who even still use drugs, and they're like, well, why don't you drink anymore? You know, why don't you smoke pot anymore? And I just don't have a reason to. You know, I have everything in my life that I want today. I am truly internally happy, and I have no reason to.
I don't even know exactly how I did. You guys told me to do some stupid little things, and I said okay, and I did these stupid little things, and really awesome things came of it, and I have no idea why. I don't know how I got my bearings. I just know you guys told me to do little tasks, and these little tasks blew up into something super awesome.
How much worse could it be going to rehab? Was my deal. How much worse could it be getting sober for a little while? So I go to rehab, and there's solution there. There's people that are happy, and my body and my brain start to work a little bit, and I can kind of function. And I went back out, but I saw the light. I saw what it could be.
Well, I think everyone has the capacity to change. I just think that they got some things blocking them. You know, my entire life I've had the capacity to change. I knew what was right. I knew what was wrong. But I was living in... Well, actually, there's a quote that was told to me. It's like, you got a child. It's easy to forgive him for being afraid of the dark. But then you know, at the same time, the true tragedy of life is when a man is afraid of the light. Okay? So like I said, I always knew that I could change. I just didn't know how to do it. And I wasn't willing to listen to anyone else to try and figure out how to do it. So... You know, as soon as things got bad enough, and like the book says, alcohol is a great persuader, and I had that moment of clarity where I realized everything that I had destroyed, well, then I had that willingness for the change. So then I had to find somebody, you know, that I saw the change in them and wanted it, which became my sponsor. So... You know, and then I listened to what he had to say. I had to constantly remind myself I don't know what I'm talking about. I still don't think I know what I'm talking about, but I know a little bit more now than, you know, I did.
They see that as a possibility for others, and so I think through experience they see that there's an opportunity for themselves as well. Because there are so many people here who are changing. There are so many people here who are living a healthy spiritual life, who are doing positive things, who are going back to school, getting married, having kids. And so I think there's a lot of inspiration there for others to do the same thing.
And I think that other people see that, and then, you know, it helps them. It helps them see that it's possible, that they can change too. You know, this guy over here, he used to do drugs like me. He used to shoot dope like me. And now today he doesn't have to do that. What's going on? How's he doing that? I need to know, because the only thing that I know from my addiction is that I did not want to be out there using drugs, you know, drinking alcohol, harming myself, harming my family, harming everybody in my life. I did not want to be doing that. You know, I didn't wake up in the morning and be like, you know what? Today I think I'm going to go and hurt everybody in my life. You know, that was never my intention. That's never what I set out to do, but that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. And so for me, I came out to Prescott and I was hopeless. You know, I had nothing. You know, I mean, my family was really close to the edge. You know, just having really nothing to do with me. And me, like, the worst part about it is I didn't want to have anything to do with me. You know, I didn't care about myself. You know, and then I come to Prescott and I see all these people, you know, laughing and smiling and having a good time. And, you know, then I start to hear, you know, and get to know a couple of the people. And it started out really small for me, you know. But then all of a sudden it snowballs and it builds and it grows and I keep showing up. And next thing you know, I'm like, I've got this life that I could have never dreamed of.
Also, like, how many places in the country can you go, meet a bunch of young people, and, like, the coolest thing you can do in their eyes is get sober?
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Like, I don't know if that's a necessarily good thing or a bad thing, but it's like the cool thing to do out here. It's like you gain popularity by sobriety, and I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, but I mean, it seems to work.
It worked.
It works. I mean, straight up.
Like I was saying before, it's the community we have. It's like so many young people that came from so many like pasts of like using drugs and like hitting so many bottoms, like finally happy and finally doing good things with their lives and wanting to do good things with their lives. I think the most attractive thing to me, it was like coming in here, it looked like doing the right thing was cool.
And you can't find that in a lot of places. Like, doing the right thing most of the time is not the cool thing to do, like growing up. It's just not. But here it really seems that it is that way, and it kind of took me by storm, and I think that that's kind of what kept me coming back, I guess. It felt nice. It felt good to be a part of something like that. It's like a movement. Something different. It's like it's against the normal stream of what's going on. Like, I'm 21, you know, most 21-year-olds are still out there, college parties, you know, drugs, alcohol, you name it. But this is something completely different.
And like, I don't know, this whole sobriety thing's real goofy. Because as long as you think you can do it, you probably can't do it. And the second you think you can't do it, you can probably do it. And like, that might sound like the most ass-backwards thing you've ever heard, but the way I can describe it is like, you know, when I was doing dope, there was always a light at the end of the tunnel. There's always this light, there's always this chance, and like, maybe tomorrow I can wake up and I can go get sober because I see that light on the other side. Well, one day that light went out, and so I started running for dear life to get to the other side, hoping that maybe it'll come back on. Mm-hmm. And that second that I realized that maybe I can't do this, I was not willing to fuck it up again. Because I didn't know if I had another chance. The second that I thought there were no chances left, and this might be all I have, that's when it came alive for me. And this town is, you know, they say like getting sober is like the last house on the block. Well, we're the last room in the back. Because this is where everybody ends up, you know, from across the country. Everybody who's been to all the treatment centers, they all end up here. Why? Because there's something about this town once again.
It's kind of a crazy thing, you know. When we're out there, it's like, you know, all we know is to be selfish, self-centered, to steal things, to get our way. You know, we come up here and it's like, you know, you're gonna do good, you know, and you're gonna help this person, and you're gonna ask for help, you know, and you start to do these things that are complete opposite of what you're basically programmed to think, you know, and so it's just a really cool thing to see young people, you know, completely reconstructing their lives, you know, by doing spiritual things. And what I mean by that is just simply doing the right thing, you know, because that's what I think it really comes down to, you know, is, you know, someone can pray and meditate, but, you know, are we doing the right thing as a whole, you know? And I could say that there's a lot of influence to do positive things and to do the right thing in this town.
To see someone come and pick up a 24-hour chip and get honest about what, you know, they were out or whatever was going on with them, to see someone get honest in Prescott, you get a fucking round of applause, you know. Yeah, it's absolutely true. Anytime I've ever seen anybody leave the program, come back in the program, they get a greeting and like a round of applause, and like they get welcomed back with open arms. I don't know. I think it's really unique. I've never been anywhere in the world where you have a bunch of 20-year-olds sitting around talking about metaphysics and you know, what the meaning to life is, you know. Unless you go out somewhere and you see a bunch of kids tripping on peyote or acid. But it's like we're sitting there drinking iced coffee talking about the meaning of life and why the fuck I'm here and why I stick a needle in my arm and stuff. But yeah, doing the right thing in Prescott is, it's indicated. Anywhere you go, that's the suggestion that you're going to get from somebody.
What I've seen as a result of people doing this, doing, you know, the program, the right thing, is that their lives get better and they're happier and they are visibly fulfilled and enjoying themselves. And when you see a bunch of people enjoying themselves, seem to be like genuinely happy, I think it's natural to like want to be a part of that, you know, and there's a lot of that here, and it's not, the trend isn't really governed by society or the media or politics or like demographic like it is in a lot of cities, you know. a lot of bigger places, and a lot of like culturally well-known things. The culture here is, at least in this like recovery community, is centered around helping yourself and helping other people. And when you build an entire culture on principles of love, basically, it's very attractive just to as a human being, you know. And so it became the cool thing to do because there's enough people doing that, and it is sort of self-sustaining in that way.
I think in Prescott, especially in the recovery community, there's kind of a push for for doing the right thing or bettering yourself, and I haven't found that to be true in many other places, I guess. Yeah, there's a real drive to, you know, kind of draw close to each other and, you know, find strength and hope and help each other out, and I don't know, it's refreshing.
I think that's what makes this community so good on some levels, is that you get here, and let's be honest, a lot of people when they first get into town, a lot of people when they're first getting sober want to fit in because they feel like they don't. And if doing the right thing is the way to fit in, it's helping everybody. You do the right thing, you realize, okay, this is actually better. And even though your motives are kind of fucked up at first because you just want people to like you, it doesn't matter, the end result is awesome. I think that attributes to why Prescott is so successful.
It definitely is. On the big stuff. We're still heroin addicts, and everybody in this room is still, you know, still has a spirituality, still has to work on themselves. And we still dick off. We still jump off the highest cliff when we go cliff diving. We still, I mean, we're junkies, and we're alcoholics, and we go hard. But, I mean, for the big stuff, you know, you call your parents on Father's Day, you don't get high, you pray, you do the right thing. But that's another thing that kept me here, was I came here and I started to get sober, and I wasn't boring. I wasn't doing boring shit. It was like, how much money you got? 45 cents in my pocket. All right, let's go to LA. I got gas. And there's like 2,000 people there dancing. And I mean, nobody else does that. Nobody else did what I did in the town I was from. And then I come here and nobody else does this stuff. And so I get to keep a little bit of that uniqueness. I get to keep myself without any adverse consequences to it.
You know, if I sit around a table with a bunch of like normal everyday people my age, like they get kind of freaked out when we start having conversations about putting needles of drugs in them, you know? But like I forget about that, you know, when I can sit around here and just nonchalantly talk about shooting heroin, and it's just like, yeah, we all been there. You know, it's like it's just like a normal everyday thing, and you know, normal people get scared by that, and I forget that when I leave this town and have conversations and
Dude, I
totally get what you're saying.
If you really want to freak them out, though, start talking about what we do now. People get real freaked out when you tell people that we're 19, we're 20, we all got over a year of sobriety, and we strive to be better human beings, and we don't like to break the law, and we don't like to do bad things, and like we want to make our family proud, and like we don't want to be assholes. People think we're real fucking weird. They get real spooked.
I would encourage them to come to Prescott because it's like, a lot of times back home, I mean, there's recovery everywhere. There's AA everywhere. But for people our age to really, really want to get sober, a lot of times, like for me, for example, back home in Milwaukee, I know for me, if I had been back home trying to get off dope, it'd be like, it would kind of feel like, you know, it's me against the world. Me, like, going against the grain, because back home, a lot of times, it's like, that's the thing to do if you're in your 20s, is get loaded. And here, it's like, going against the grain is getting loaded, you know? Like, going against the grain is you having a needle in your arm. But even if you do have a needle in your arm here, there's a group of 150 young people on Tuesday night that are just waiting for you to come back, you know, and they just want you to be sober, and it's like strength in numbers.